And a good evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on a McFiles Thursday night, and we're grateful to be with you tonight. We're always grateful to have new guests with us, and we got our jam up new one tonight, Helen Qui. And Helen, it is so good to see you. She is running for the New York State Assembly, District 65. That's Lower Manhattan, and we've never had her on the show. We've been trying to get her on the show, and it's been my fault, not hers. The reason she's not been, it's been scheduling. We are just pleased to have you as a guest tonight, friend. How are you? And how about them Knicks, right?
How are you, Chris? I'm very honored to be in your show.
Very honored to have you, Helen.
You are doing a great job, and I hope it will just continue your success with your show.
I'm deeply moved by that, and I appreciate that, Helen. I really am. Listen, I wanted to get your take on several things. New York is in a terrible place right now with this communist mayor, and you're running for state assembly. I want you to introduce yourself to everybody tonight. Tell them a little bit about your background. We're definitely pulling for you up there. We need conservative voices like you. You know, me and you've talked by phone many times over the last year, and you've told me that if the Republicans would get their act together, we wouldn't have Zomar Mandami. And but you feel like that New York's salvageable if the Republicans would come together and get it straight, don't you?
Yes, I'm very happy to introduce a little bit more about myself. I'm Helen Qui. I graduated from Columbia University, and I was engineering manager, and later was compelled, after I became a Christian, so I was compelled to serve the Lord by preaching his good word. So I became a Christian pastor. And after a major event in Chinatown, Manhattan, in 2022, I felt I need to come out and speak up in the political arena. So what happened was, at that time, Chinatown was going to have 10, not one, not two, but 10 homeless shelters. And I felt that is very inappropriate in such a busy, highly dense residential area to have so many homeless shelters. So I felt that was not a very good arrangement for the city. And I felt I need to tell people that no shelters in Chinatown. Right. We need to have a different arrangement. So since then, that was back in 2022, I did not win that race. That was the same race that I'm running today, which is state assembly. And since then, it has been 4 years, and I've been running either the assembly or city council in the past 4 years. And my votes has increased from about 7,000 votes. Now I got about 12,000 votes. However, none of that is enough for me to overcome to have a victory yet, because Lower Manhattan has an 8-to-1 ratio of Democrats and Republicans, and I ran as a Republican. So it was very challenging for me. And like what you said, Chris, right now, New York City is in a major Stockholm syndrome. I would call it mass Stockholm syndrome, that they just cave to the terrorists that terrorize New York City. So now we have Islamic mayor who is not just any Islamic. He's a radical Islamic, and he hosts terrorists in his house for dinner. And he was taking pictures, making pledges with 9/11 terrorist linked groups and individuals. And when he won the mayoral, the first thing he did is went to a radical mosque where they chant every day that Christians and Jews and any non-Muslims are infidels that they should just remove in a violent way to achieve jihad. So I think we are in a very low point of our city's history, in additional to all the problems that motivate me to run in 2022. So those problems didn't go away, yet we encounter a new problem, which is came with Mandami. But I am optimistic, just like Knicks. You know, they were down 29 points.
They were.
Yet in less than 20 minutes, they rebound and then they won the game. So New York historically has been beaten down many, many times over. And I think Gerald Ford was saying that drop that, New York. Ask New York to drop that. So, and we have worse condition in the subway. Right now we have people burned to death. We have people shot to death, slice their throat to death, stabbed to death. All these things are happening in New York City. But in the 80s, it's even worse. You can see those old pictures. All the entire subway car was covered with graffitis and crime and human feces. And we have the same problem in New York City subway right now, but seems to be another episode of New York being beaten down. But I believe New Yorkers will come to our senses, and it will be a great sanity experiment, and see whether New York will prevail. And I have good hope that New York will prevail.
Right. Do you think there's any chance that he gets recalled? Has there reached a point? He's been in power now going on 6 months, and I've heard that there is a buyer's remorse like you would not believe. That a lot of these people that voted for him, even the liberal left, even the far left, did not realize how radical this guy was, even though I find that hard to believe, because he didn't hide any of this, Helen. And it's not like the guy was a subterfuge chameleon. I mean, he from day one was out there saying, I'm communist, I'm socialist, I'm Islamic, I hate the Jews, I hate Israel. I mean, it wouldn't have taken a sixth grader to understand what kind of candidate this guy was going to be if he got elected. But it's like New York, like you said, went into a Stockholm syndrome and just blindly put him in power. But does he survive 4 years as mayor of New York?
Well, I think as much as some of us really do not want him to be our governing official, there's one saving grace for New York City compared to London, is that New York's mayoralship has a 2-term limit, meaning the maximum damage he would do as a mayor will be 8 years.
Right.
Of course, over that course of the time, I don't know how much we will survive and how much bad influence other officials like, some state official like assembly and Senate, state Senate, and city council, how many of those people will end up being occupied by radical Islam. So we don't know. Some of the positions could be very long, like the office I'm running right now, Assembly and Senate. They are lifelong positions that they don't have a term limit. So it's remained to be seen. And New York is a place where we are very resilient. New Yorkers are just have this particular characteristic that I find very unique. Yes. And also very strong in a sense. The Islamic terrorists had a few bombs in New York City. And guess what? We have New Yorkers, maybe a homeless or someone who's interested in the backpack, just went over and opened the backpack and throw the bomb on the ground and took the backpack.
Yes.
So if you look at the video, it's like a little bit even comical that they don't give any credit for these terrorist attacks. and then they just ran through. And then just 2 days ago, I think there was a suspicious package in Times Square, and guess what? A guy and the bomb squad was trying to pull the backpack over to try to, examine it from a distance with some kind of a safety gear, and then they were all, wear, hazmat shoes, all kind of things. And then this guy just went over, opened the stuff, and then took out everything. It turned out to be just some clothes and something not important. But it was a suspicious package. So that guy just took out everything and kicked the whole backpack away. So make me remember that one time, because of that guy, either that or they just did a very lousy job with the bomb. That bomb just did not go off because the guy threw it to the floor, to the ground, and then took the backpack, etc., etc. It didn't go off, but nonetheless, it was a bomb. This time it was not, but we have this New Yorker that's just not patient to wait for it, and then just opened it himself, not waiting for the bomb squad. So I think New Yorkers, to a certain extent, to you wonderful people in Tennessee, right? You're in Tennessee?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To you wonderful people in Tennessee, New Yorkers is a little bit crazy. We have all these crazy policies, crazy people that are trying to push crazy things. But at the same time, New York is just built differently, that they may survive, So I am hoping that New Yorkers come to the good American senses, which I think is the character of resilience and hope and also strength, which we both share because we're Americans, right?
That's very true.
Yeah, so I think that spirit is what got our country established 250 years ago. And at this moment, I feel we are remembering that spirit. And New York, I hope, is remembering our New York spirit, that over the past history of New York history, we have been beaten down for so many times. And I hope that we will revive.
I understand, and I do too. I do want to ask you this. As you look at New York City,
yes,
and then you look out at California with the mess that they're in right now, with these homeless, these meth addicts, the drug addicts, is the situation in California, is it as bad in New York City? I drove through the city a couple of times over the last few years, but I've not stopped. We've had a conference there a couple of years ago, but we've been mainly meeting in Long Island. But the city itself, has it gotten worse or better under Mandami, or has there been any effort to clean up the homelessness? Because that's one of your campaign things right now. You're trying to stop all this, and are you meeting? What's the state of New York as compared to California? California's a mess, and I mean, I've never seen anything like it. That our cities, Helen, it's sad that our big cities like this, because they're the face of our country. L.A., New York, Chicago, and you look at the top 3 big cities in our country, and they are the most ridden with crime, drugs, homelessness, meth, pedophilia, trafficking, all these things. And it's sad. It's a spiritual, and your minister, look, it's a spiritual issue. And, there's so much warfare over these bigger cities, but it's more over our nation. And I think you're hitting on something. New York's sort of a barometer of the country, and it's scary to see the state that it's in tonight, isn't it?
Right. I haven't, actually, I came from California. I graduated, and then I actually received my citizenship when I was working in a high-tech company in Silicon Valley.
Right.
So I came from California. It's the most blessed place with the weather. The weather in California is just unparalleled. So it is very sad to see how it has been declined. San Francisco, most beautiful city. LA, they have street after street, block after block of homeless camps. That's just heartbroken to see. So I haven't been back in recent years, so I don't know their situation right now. So I couldn't have first-hand, remark or comment or feedback about that. But in New York, I can tell you something very visible. Before Trump, in 2024 and 2023, our situation is horrible, very bad. On financial district, Wall Street, people pay $2-3 million or $10 million for a 2-bedroom, or $1 or $3 million for a 1-bedroom.
Wow.
Those places, people are not wearing pants on the street. You will see them using bathrooms just in public. It's just horrific. And then at night, people using marijuana. They just lay on the corner. It's in a very bad situation. Now, the moment after Trump get into office in January 2025, within 3 months, the entire situation changed. So I would say it's because of Trump. He stopped the inflow of illegal
immigration. Yes.
Yes, and then that helped New York.
Gotcha.
So how did they clean it up? How did it happen? I don't know, because I didn't actually work with the people that did those jobs. I can only tell you, as someone who's very familiar with my district, and as someone who walks my district on a daily basis, on many streets, I can tell you this change happened almost instantly. So within a couple months, I already see the difference. I already see the street become cleaner. Nobody is, like half dressed on the street. Nobody's, dumping human feces.
Right.
Nobody is sleeping at the corner. So where did the people go? I don't know, but they were no longer there. And did they go to a mental health hospital? Did they receive anything? I don't know. We still see the crime that I mentioned to you, such as people get robbed, get stabbed, get burned, get shot, knifed, stabbed. All these bad things still consistently happening. But I can tell you, like in the past year and a half, we see instant improvement in terms of pavement and platforms in the train station. We no longer see you could see as many as 10 people on the platform that were using drugs and then lying there being drug ridden. Right now, you see them in the park, not as much on the platform.
I got you.
So I would say it's a federal improvement. And then Mandami became the mayor earlier this year. Did the situation improve? I think it remained the same. Didn't improve much, but didn't worsen as much. It's just a little bit more crime because they keep releasing these people. Yeah.
Let me ask you this about a related question to that then. I know that one of the things that irritated a lot of us out here in the country and watching this from afar was his attitude, and it is still his attitude toward the police and the law. And of course, he makes a big deal about keeping ICE out of New York. And you mentioned something about the illegals. Look, Holman came in there and he basically, with both feet, single-handedly over 3 months, 3 to 5 months. You're right. We took care of a lot of illegal immigration through the Trump administration. But the morale, you mentioned the crime. A lot of that, Helen, I attribute to the morale of the police. Their hands have been tied. Has there been any improvement with morale. And I know that there was a little season. I remember reading several articles about where police were quitting. We got a dear friend up there, Mike Simonelli. He's retired, and he's told us some things about the police force that, you know, it's hard to do your job when your bosses are telling you not to enforce the law and not arrest killers and murderers and rapists. And on a side question, I was watching those videos today from last night's celebration, and I'm not a basketball fan, but I don't think anybody that enjoys sports, and I do, couldn't root for a 29-point comeback. Now, we Atlanta Falcons fans, for the Falcon fans out there, we can relate to the 29-point loss, being up 29 points and losing. But it was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal in sports last night. But what do New Yorkers do? These teenagers are allowed to burn almost the city down last night. And it puts a stain on an otherwise wonderful night for New York. And that goes back to the police, don't it? They don't seem to have any power to stop it.
You are very correct. I think the morale. So, first of all, the morale, right?
Yes.
I think the morale is related to the federal image of the police. So I think they see definitely a boost because of Trump. And Trump's respect and acknowledgement of law enforcement.
Right.
Now, Mandami certainly discredited them and campaigned on dismantling them. And New Yorkers didn't like that. But as I shared, New Yorkers has this attitude like they really don't care what you said.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of cases, myself included, let's say if I say, I don't care what you say, actually it hurts my feelings. So I actually care, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that I don't care what you said. But in reality, I do care. And when you say things, it just hurt my feelings and I'm very sad. I'm upset. I could not function. I will be very sad for many days until I feel a little bit better. So that's a normal human response. New Yorkers are a little different. I am becoming more New Yorkers now.
Yeah.
But they really don't care what you said. I think a lot of the police, they get their inspiration and they get their motivation out of their love for the job, their satisfaction of being a New York police officer. They actually do a lot of things every day that in a small town you probably are just, relaxing, But some police, they may not like to be relaxing. They may like a little bit action that they feel alive, that their job is so important, so crucial. So I see definitely from the news, it's correct. A lot of people fleeing New York. I think it's horrible that their hands are tied. They are being targeted. They are being smeared. But nonetheless, a lot of the New York police are still very proud to be a New York police. So I think that's a little assessment from my end.
No, I think it's a good assessment. I think it's well said. I do want to ask you, going back to Mandami a little bit, you mentioned the Stockholm Syndrome a while ago, and then I want to ask you about this anti-Semitism up there. What was it that ultimately got him elected? Was it the distrust of Cuomo? Eric Adams, look, I'm not saying Eric Adams was a perfect mayor, but compared to Mandami, Eric Adams was Mr. Rogers. And it really, I've always wondered what possessed the city to go the direction they went. You had Adams, Cuomo, and Mandami. Now, granted, I can understand people not wanting Cuomo, but Eric Adams dropped out of this race early on. It was almost like he saw the tea leaves and he didn't even fight. And then I know Curtis Silwa, and we got a dear friend that was actually part of the Hell's Angels up there, the protective force up there in New York City. He was not a bad candidate, but he just didn't have that gusto to stand up against this Democrat machine. But what caused all this? Was it a perfect storm of all those things, or do you think it was something deeper? Do you think these kids push him over the top? What happened?
I think Eric Adams lost the Democrat support. I don't mean the voters. I mean the machine.
Right.
Eric Adams was not able to get matching fund. You know what matching fund is? If you donate $100, it become $800.
Right.
Matching fund. So for a mayoral position, Eric Adams has the most donation. He got like $4 million or something, and many other people got $1 million, $2 million. But $1 million, let's say if you only raise $1 million, but times 8, it become $8 million, right? And then Eric Adams, even though he got $4 million, that means 400 times of people supporting him than you. However, he did not get the funding because he's only $4 million. He couldn't get the $32 million that he needed. So the reason I think he lost the demo, and they especially, I think this is he tried to sue the financial board,
right?
Which he probably have a standing. But the lawsuit would not come soon enough before he can actually get the money, right? So it doesn't matter, even if he win or lose. I don't know whether he win or not. The thing is, he did several things. Number one, he tell people the truth. There are several times. One, he said New York City cannot sustain if we keep Century City and having these 1 million or more illegal aliens coming to our city. He said we will go bankrupt. It's just not going to happen. No matter how compassionate you are, how much tax you want to raise, we are just not able to afford that many people in our city. So that is the truth, but they hate it. The Democrat. I think Biden hates it because Biden wants to push illegals. He's considered Eric Adams speaking against him. I don't know whether you remember he was trying to see Biden to try to close the border, and just when his airplane, actually he took an Amtrak or something, I forgot, maybe airplane. Just the moment that he landed in Washington, D.C., in New York City, they say the police or some FBI or whatever raided his office at home. Why? Because they say he committed crime with a foreign country, which is Turkey. Why? Because Turkey gave him an upgrade of his coach ticket to be first class, and also let him stay in a beautiful hotel, luxurious room for 5 nights for free. So those are considered a bribe. And if you look at it, yeah, it is sort of like a benefit. You know, if you take an airplane, you may not get that upgrade, right?
Right.
But you and I, we probably would not get that upgrade. And Eric Adams got it. But nonetheless, for the airline to give an upgrade to passenger is not unheard of, right? Yeah, I have received 2 seats by the airline so that they let me and my son sit next to each other. They give us 1 extra seat. So is it special? Yeah. Is it because I'm an official? No. They did that because I'm a mother and my child is small. So they try to make me feel more comfortable. So my point is, it is, you can say it is a bribe, but it's also, you know, it's some favor that airlines often do for many occasions for passengers, one way or the other, you know. So, but this is because Biden doesn't want to talk to him about illegals crossing the border, doesn't want to talk about open border. So before he had a meeting with Biden the next day at 9 o'clock. So before he even started to have that meeting, he was being pulled back to New York and the meeting, of course, is canceled. He never had that meeting. So I think it's a federal, in a sense, they try to squeeze him. I don't want to use the word persecute. That maybe sound a little bit too strong, but at least they want to squeeze him. They want to remove him. They want to make it very difficult for him. So under those circumstances, he also spoke up for Israel on October 7th. That is also not supporting Islam, because I think somehow the socialists and Islam are carrying a yoke together.
Right. Right.
Like two evils head are together right now.
I got you.
Plus the wokeism, I guess it's the three heads of the devil or something. So, Eric Adams doesn't have a chance before he even run. And sure enough, he didn't get the matching fund. He couldn't have enough funding to do anything. And they tried to remove him in the primary. He ran, and then he endorsed, I think he endorsed Cuomo, right?
Yeah, he did. He did, and it was too late, though. It just seemed like it was too late. Well, that sort of explains that. You mentioned something about the Israeli thing. I want to ask you about this because New York City has become a hotbed for rabid anti-Semitism. I'm watching just about daily people with Palestinian flags, ISIS flags, Black Lives Matter, every terrorist group, but really a lot of rabid anti-Semitism. In your time there, did you ever expect that the anti-Semitism would rage as wild and as rabid as it has there? And I'll just go back to your California roots. California's got its problems, but you don't see a lot of that out there. You may see some, but it is like ground zero, pardon the pun, in New York City for this. Why is that? Is it Mandami, the magnet? Is he drawing this? Did they see an open door? Or is it something more sinister that is maybe the whole country descending into this? But New York City is been sort of at the part of this, hasn't they?
Yes. Earlier we talked about the morale of the police, right?
Yeah.
So on that front, I just want to emphasize one thing: is it's not just the morale; it's the paid protesters. That is a huge problem for our city. So it's not just the morale of uplifting law enforcement, but also our true disruptors are the paid protesters. So if we look at the entire New York or LA or San Francisco or Chicago, whatever, through the lens of paid protesters,
right,
then we will kind of have a sense. It's like, let's say you are a trillionaire, and then you are going to fund the entire evil regime, right?
Right.
What are you going to do? So you will pick a city, for example, New York. New York, unlike LA or San Francisco or Chicago, has the largest Jewish population,
yes,
outside of Israel. Okay, so this is the hot location for Jews.
Mm-hmm.
So sure enough, in this area, we want to foster the anti-Jewish sentiment so that we can create the most chaos in the city, if that is your goal, right? Your evil goal. So I think New York uniquely have all these anti-Semitism because New York is the hotbed for the Jews. Most Jewish people live.
Yeah, they do.
So,
yes.
So I think that's the one reason. Now, on this topic, I want to bring another very uncomfortable but very important point. Okay, when we talk about anti-Semitism, we normally feel sympathetic to the Jews and say, you're the victim. Is it correct? Yes, it is absolutely correct. They are the victim of anti-Semitism. They're the direct victim. Now, what's the other aspect that I want to point out is the Jews voted for Mandami.
Yes.
So I have emphasized that many times, at least it's in my district. They may not be voting for Mandami in every areas of New York City. So I talked to many Jews and they said, I didn't vote for him. And I said, I know you didn't, but I just want to highlight that many did. You didn't, but many Jews did. You cannot deny that many Jews did. So Jews doesn't want to take that responsibility. They want to pretend that they are the victim of Mandami's election. They're the victim of anti-Semitism. Basically, they want to say, I'm the victim. No, they're not only the victim. They are the enabler. They are the enabler of their of the current situation. So,
and Helen, let me interrupt you there, and let me just say this. That goes on a national level, too, because the Jews have voted Democrat, predominantly Democrat, most of the election cycles going back 20 to 30 years. And I've never understood this because you're right. They're voting for the very people that hate them. And Mandami hated him. And you're making a great point. I'm thinking of Mandy Patinkin, the actor. And I watched the commercials with him in it, with shaking hands with Mandami and saying, Mandami is what we need here. That's like the fox. That's like the hen shaking hands with the fox and saying, come on and have supper with me. Go ahead. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're absolutely on target here. Keep going.
Right. So I think you're correct. It's on the national level as well. Jews overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris, voted for Democrats whose overall policy is free Palestine, right?
Yes.
So not every Democrat, but that's their overarching policy. So do Jews know that? Yes, they do. Do they do something about it? No, they don't. So I just want to look at this entire anti-Semitism in two lights, not just one light. Otherwise, it's unwise. It's not wise to only look at it and say, "Oh, you poor Jew, you are the victim of anti-Semitism," and then, "Oh, we have Mayor Mandami, who's radical Islam. Oh, how horrible, how sad. I feel for you." No, that's exactly not how we should feel for the Jews. They should know that they are the enabler. They are the reason why we have Mandami. They're not the only reason. When I say they are the reason, I don't mean they're the only reason, but I mean they are the reason. So I say that
I know I get it, and I think you're bringing up a point that yes, it's going to make people uncomfortable, but Helen, it needs to be stated because, to be frank with you, it drives me crazy. And I look at, and I'm going to just go ahead and make people even more uncomfortable. What bothers me tonight is a lot of Jews are against the nation of Israel that's standing there in the Middle East with all these enemies around it, and her greatest persecutors are American liberal Jews that don't believe that Israel's a legitimate state. And I mean, that's not coming from the Islamists. That's coming from their own many times. And again, it makes people uncomfortable to discuss it, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed because it is a history that they voted. And look, if their own people, and we love their people tonight. Look, I'm pro-Israel as anybody can be. We support Israel. We speak nothing but blessing over that nation, and I'm praying for her tonight. Look, I'm concerned. I'm hoping that this Iran deal that President Trump said today that he's got in place is going to stick and work. But I was telling a dear friend today that usually when these deals are made in the back rooms like this, that Israel always seems to get the short end of the stick. and we're praying for them. But this is what you're talking about tonight is something that is a legitimate concern, and I think it's my concern that you've got a lot of Jews that are not thinking, and I think it goes back to the Stockholm Syndrome. When they vote for candidates like Mandami, they're voting for somebody that's going to do to them what Hitler tried to do to them back in the 1930s and did do to 6 million of them, sadly.
Right. You are correct. So they voted for this. Not every Jew, and I don't know whether it's majority of them or not, but in my district, in Lower Manhattan, it's a majority. That I can tell you. But we have a lot of Jews in Brooklyn, in the Upper West Side, in, of course, many areas of our city. How they vote, I have not do a thorough study, but I can tell you in my district, which is Lower Manhattan, the Jews in my district voted for the people that represent the policy that will suffocate Jews.
Well, and that's scary because
and elevate Islam. Yeah,
that's
so
scary.
They voted for that. Yeah.
That's scary. And again, what can you do to fix that? I mean, you very well can't stand it.
I'm going to. Well, I know they did this. I talked to many Jews in my district, and I'm going to tell them more this year when I'm on the campaign trail. I'm going to tell every Jew I met. I say, you guys voted 51% Mandami.
That's unbelievable.
And that is a wrong move. And you voted 51% and more for my opponent. That was the wrong move because I ran last year as well, right?
Right.
So I tell them, you made many wrong moves. I hope you realize it and change. It's like repentance. So I think for Israel or for anybody, the message is always repentance. But if there's no conviction of sins or wrongdoing, there's no need to repent, right?
That's right.
So I think the Jewish voters in our country or in my city, they need to repent, and they need to admit that they did wrong in their voting, and then hopefully they don't do it again. That's all I can say. So
let me
I think that's just like a gospel message,
Let me ask you this. Speaking of repentance and speaking of candidates, what do you take about all these Jewish congressional leaders on the Democrat side supporting a plain-out, rabid Nazi in the state of Maine that does not even hide it, his anti-Israel, anti-Jewish views, wears that Nazi tattoo? And what you're saying goes to the same thing that's going on in Maine tonight, because you've got the Jewish leader. Chuck Schumer's a Jew. He is the majority leader of the Senate. Him and Raskin, Dan Goldman, and there's others that are out there basically applauding Graham Plattner, who is as rabid, radicalized, demonically left a candidate that this country has ever seen. But yet they're okay and giving him a pass on everything just so they can seize power in the Senate. And again, what does that say? And if that's not repented of, Helen, we're going to wind up getting the leaders that we want, my friend. Look, your faith is shining through tonight. And, it's why we've had you. I've been meaning to get you on for so long. And I know that you understand this. These are spiritual issues that we're talking about tonight. I know people think we're talking politics here. This is not political. This is spiritual over our country. And we've got to get this right spiritually, because if we don't, our politics are going to go into the toilet, and we're going to put a Graham Plattner in power, and he's going to make policies that's going to do exactly what you just said, hurt the Jewish people and hurt every Jew in America, and not just the Jews, but the Christians. He's coming for the Christians too.
Yes, correct. That's an insightful remark. Do you know that in the UK, the top 11 countries in the UK have Islamic mayors?
Wow.
Yes, that is like the fourth. I think they only have like 13 major cities. and 11 of them are have Islamic mayors, radical Islamic mayors. So if you see a woman with wearing a hijab, that woman is a radical Islam. That's how simple and straightforward it is. So New York right now is facing that challenge.
Yes.
And I think it will continue. Not just New York, many cities like you just mentioned, Maine. There will be many cities that's going to promote Islamic officials, and they will win a lot of elections. And when you talk about elections, one is people actually winning, voting for these radical Islam. Secondly, they are fraud. You know, like L.A. mayor race, they were fraud. New York, these are hotbeds for fraud. So we must face reality. Do we continue to fight? Yeah, we continue to fight because we know maybe one day we will win the fight, right? That's the reason we fight. And, you know, World War II, World War I, none of the wars can be won by us having a sip of coffee at our table. It's always difficult. It's always challenging. It's always bloody. You know, even our Lord Jesus Christ is wearing a bloody cape. Yes, in the first chapter of Revelations, right?
Yes.
So we know war is going to be bloody. It's going to have a lot of sacrifice. People is going to say bad things about you, about your family, about who you are, about what you do, and they are going to give you a hard time financially, you know, friendship-wise, you know, family, you know, all these is going to challenge you in all areas of your life to test your faith, and see whether you will rely on God and win all these battles. So I hope all your audience are just as, you know, courageous as you, that we will never say we give up. We will never say it's so bad that there's no chance of winning. No, we will always say there's always chance of winning. And actually, we are certain that we will win. It's just a matter of time when we will win. But we are certain that we will win this battle, and we will keep American Christian, and we will not allow radical Islam to have an inch of our land.
Amen.
So I think that is something that we can be certain of. Yes. Only the Christian countries will treat other religions with grace and kindness. That is true in the Bible, and it's true today. We are not having a dictatorship that people, if you don't believe in Christian, I'm going to cut off your head, right? No, that's not Christianity. But we also know that only Christian countries, and by the way, our country, America, United States of America, is founded as a Christian nation. So that is our foundation, and that is what we will stand on. And this 250 years will be a great reminder where we stand.
My friend, that's why we need you in that state assembly. And your first interview tonight's been a great one. I appreciate you. Listen, I've got a new friend that I can call on now when I've got New York matters to talk about, and you're always welcome here. I'm going to give you, we got 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to wrap us up. Final thoughts. I think you've made a pretty good thought then about faith in our nation, and you're right. We've got to keep fighting. We can't give up. I know it looks hopeless sometimes. I know things look bad, and look, I feel for you all in New York City. I do, but I appreciate people like you. I appreciate people like Mike Simonelli. We've got some great people of faith that are a part of this show that live up there. They're in here every night, and I know that they're not giving up, but they also know it's a challenge, and, you know, we've got to just pray that God breaks through in people's hearts and they do the right thing. And I think Cleo was putting a comment out there tonight, and she's right about the younger progressives. They were drawn to Mandami's false vision for affordability and social justice. And Helen, that too is something that we're fighting against. And I know you're standing up against that. This social justice stuff is not going to take the country anywhere but on a path to hell, honestly. And there is no such thing as affordability. You can't get, nothing's for free. And it's hard to convince these kids of that, and I know that's going to be a challenge for you. I'm praying for you, friend. I really am, and we're going to get you back on throughout the summer and the fall before your election in November. But wrap us up, final thoughts, and we'll say goodnight. Good to see you tonight. Okay. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you, Chris. I just want to say honor is all mine, and thank you for your love for our city, New York. And New York always welcome you. And we will prevail, and New Yorkers will prevail. God bless you.
Well, listen, we're grateful to you. Now, I will not be wearing a Yankees outfit, okay? And I am rooting for the Knicks a little bit. Nothing against San Antonio, but Knicks hadn't won a championship in many, many years, and I just hope that the city don't burn down. After you win. I was watching these kids last night. I was like, my Lord, what's going to happen if New York loses this thing? Y'all are going to need the National Guard to come in and take care of it. Helen, you've been great tonight. Thank you so much, dear. God bless you, and we're praying for you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Helen Qui, everybody. Put some fire in that house for her. That was a good first interview. We're grateful for her tonight. And if you're in the New York area, in that lower Manhattan area, you need to make sure this lady gets into the state assembly. James R. gave me her name about 2 years ago, and that's how long it's taken us to get her on the show. Every time we've tried to get her on, something has happened with the schedule, or hers or ours. And we had dropped the ball for about 3 or 4 months, and I was scrolling through some phone contacts, and her name came up, and I said, my goodness, I need to get a hold of Helen and see if she's available. And she was tonight, and I'm so grateful for her. Did you get something out of it? I hope she encouraged you tonight, folks. And she, she's got an uphill battle. She's got an uphill battle. There's no doubt about it. And I hope that y'all be praying for her. And again, if you're in the greater New York area, I want you to vote for her. I want you to vote for her. And I sure believe she did a good job tonight. I'll put some fire in that house for her. And good to see everybody. Good to see everybody over on Facebook tonight. Joanne Ramsley, good to see you. Jimmy, Eva, Debbie and Dean Courtwright, good to see you. Lucy Shoemaker, Gail Myers, good to see you. Anna Sarah Peligla, good to see you, dear. John Mertz, Tim Neal, Lori Federock, all you folks over there tonight. And again, all of our YouTube crowd that's in the house tonight. Cleo, Janice, Stephen Fonahoyt, Mary Cleveland, Susan Pruski's in the house. Good to see you. John Quallen, Michelle Bachman. Good to see you. Carol, Ken Smith. Happy anniversary to Carol and Ken. Now listen, we got 56 minutes. It's about 10:30. I'm going to play a couple of videos for you tonight. We're going to do a more in-depth show tomorrow night with the videos, with our news wrap-up for the week. We got a lot of news to talk about. Breaking news tonight. I'm going to get your take out there. President Trump announced today, this afternoon, they were going to bomb Iran into the Stone Age again tonight. But he called off the strike, saying that they have got a tentative agreement in place that the Iranian leadership has agreed to. However, as of about an hour and a half ago, I read a report out of a Jewish newspaper, a Jerusalem newspaper, that said that while the mid-level Iranian officials have agreed to that, Khomeini has not. Trump told a reporter today, they asked him point blank, has Khomeini agreed? And when I heard what he said, it caught my attention. He said he will agree. So I want to make it clear tonight that while there's a lot of optimism that the bombing last night brought the Iranians to the table, I tend to share tempered enthusiasm and tempered optimism that this is going to work. We will not know. President Trump is swearing up and down we're going to have a deal by the weekend. We'll see. We'll see. I do not trust these Iranians. I've never trusted them. I admire President Trump for trying. My take on all this tonight is that if you can get them to destroy the nuclear subterfuge and the nuclear material to make nuclear weapons, and you get it shipped out of their country, then there's hope, howbeit small, that at least that gives us 5 to 8 years to make sure and ensure that they do not try to do it again. Because, folks, the reality of it is this: Trump is only going to be in office another 2.5 years. We have no idea who's coming after him. We hope and pray it'll be a Republican. I hope and pray it'll be Rubio or DeSantis one, or both. Hopefully both on a ticket. I'm not all excited about JD right now, and for various reasons. But let's just say that we get a Republican, and God help us if we get a Dem, that's not as strong with Iran as Trump's been, and they see an opening and they try to do this again, then all of this has been for naught. And I think that what President Trump is trying to do, and I understand it, that he's trying to make sure the deal. I heard Clark Kellogg tonight, a former security advisor to the president, and he told Jesse Waters something that was right on, that Trump wants a great deal. He doesn't want a good deal. He wants an ironclad deal that can ensure there's a 3 to 5 year window that this is not, excuse me, it's been like this for 3 days, that it's not kicked down the corner to the next president, whoever that may be, because Trump can't control that. So I admire him for trying. I admire him for at least making the effort. He's dealt with Iran stronger than any president before him has, going all the way back to Carter in 1979. Every president after Carter has done the exact same thing that Trump's not doing tonight, waiting for the next president to take care of it. It's been messy. There's been mistakes made. There has been a lot of criticism. It's hurt our economy for the last 3 or 4 months with gas prices. It has put basically Congress at odds with the president about his power. I love what Clark Kellogg said. He said not one of those senators up in D.C. got one electoral vote. Article 2 of the Constitution says that there is one commander-in-chief, and there is one commander-in-chief, and it's not Chuck Schumer. It is not John Thune. It is not Rand Paul. It's not any of these yahoos. It's Donald John Trump. I respect him for at least trying to do what's right for the world, for the Middle East, and for Israel. Now, I want to say this about the Israeli connection. Israel tonight, the Jerusalem Post is reporting that Israel themselves, they have no idea of the contents of this agreement. And they are not aware of any agreement that the Iranians have agreed to. They've not told the United States that they're going to stop bombing. So Israel may be by herself basically trying to keep the Iranians from getting this bomb. And Hezbollah is not a fair player, who is a proxy of Iran. And there's so many complicated nuances in this. I told Leslie Millway this today. We may get Leslie back on tomorrow night. James Akers at a baseball game tonight, so I'm not going to bother him late. But I told Leslie Millway this today. Every time that we set ourselves in the Middle East and try to forward some kind of peace plan, and I don't think Trump's goal is this, but I think that it's inevitable that these peace plans always leave Israel out in the cold. They always leave our only friend out in the cold. All of us have friends like that sometimes, that they do things and they don't really consider us. They just do their own thing, but they call us a friend, but they don't act like one. And I think that in many ways, if you look at the United States history in the Middle East going back to the Bush years, the Bush senior years, especially Clinton, but especially it really started with Bush senior. We tell Israel to her face, we're your friend, we're your friend, we're your friend, we've got your back. And then we turn around and backstab her. Clinton never had her back. Obama never had her back. Biden never had her back. Bush Sr. never had her back. Bush Jr. tried a little bit to have her back, but he had people in his cabinet that didn't care for Israel. Trump has been probably the most pro-Israel president we've had. Reagan tried, but he had people in his cabinet that were anti-Israeli. And we're not the United States of Israel. We're the United States of America. And we need to do what's right by our country. But we need to realize that when we're dealing with Israel's enemies, and we give her enemies an out, and we give her enemies the idea that there's distance between us. We talked about this last night. It is inevitable that her enemies are always going to take advantage of that, and they're always going to see an opening to step in and do exactly what Iran's doing tonight. Saying uncle, crying uncle, and please stop bombing us, please stop bombing us, we're ready to talk. But if this report is true tonight, that the higher ups in Iran are not on board with this, then all we've done, again, is give them a pause to regroup and to go into hiding and hide whatever nuclear materials left that we didn't get back in the summer of last year. And it just delays the inevitable, and it puts us more in danger. It puts Israel more in danger with every passing hour. Now, that is my opinion on this. I know that some of you may not share that opinion. Some of you may have faith that this will last, and I think that, to echo Helen's comments tonight, we can't be defeatist, and we can't just throw the towel in and say, well, there's no need to try, and there's no need to do this because it's not going to work. I admire President Trump for a lot of things. This is one of them. He is willing to be a leader, take a chance that what he's doing is going to work. You got to admire his guts. You got to admire his guts. And you've got to admire his courage. And I would rather have a president that has the moral courage and the moral character to try to do something that's right. Even if he fails at it, at least he's trying to do what's right. That he will have my eternal respect for. That's why we need to pray for him. And we need to pray for this situation. And again, like Clark Kellogg said tonight, Jesse point blank asked him, he said, do you trust the Iranians? And Clark Kellogg said, absolutely not. And if you ask me tonight, do I trust the Iranians are going to do the right thing by us in Israel? Absolutely not, I don't. But you got to try. You got to try. My question to you tonight, it's in our poll question on this Thursday night. Do you believe that this Iran deal will stick that President Trump says he has in place for the weekend? And right now, we've had 30 votes, 80% of you say no, 20% say yes. And John, I'm with you. I hope it sticks. I hope it sticks too, and we'll see. And Zella, you say Turkey is also not a good friend to anyone. I don't take Iran for their word either. Neither does anyone else in the Middle East. They don't, Zella. But again, what I just said, I'll say it again. Despite all of that, and I'm not disagreeing with Turkey. And we're about to have war with India and Pakistan thanks to Turkey, because Turkey is funneling weapons to Pakistan tonight. To attack India, and India is not too happy about it. And Erdogan is an evil man. He is an evil individual with jihadist Islamic views of the Middle East. The Kurds, of all people. It's so disappointing to read this tonight. President Trump was trying to do something in Iran, and he needed the Kurds' help, and I've got to get the story. right? But I just glanced at it on X tonight. But the Kurds, of all people, stood in the way of America's fight with Iran, doing some strategic things that really helped the Iranians more than the Americans. And the Kurds are the people that we went into Iraq to protect. My brother served in the northern part of Iraq, and his commander was Kurdish. It was one of the safest places in Iraq you could serve. They were the most pro-American. But because of the Turkish influence in that northern part of Iraq, the Kurds are almost acting like they're wanting to turn on us. And that just goes to show you the influence of Islam in the Middle East tonight. It is a complicated cauldron. There are no friends. There's no good guys and bad guys in the Middle East. They're all bad. It just depends on what level of bad you've got, with the exception of one tiny nation. And I know the anti-Semites and the haters are going to say this is not true, but I'm going to say it's true. That little tiny nation, my background. Israel's the only one that is fighting to keep people free in the Middle East. They're the only nation that's trying to keep people free. I know that there are many people that don't believe that. I want to play a video. This is Bibi tonight with Channing Tatum, a great podcaster. And he plain out asked Bibi, he said, are Americans, Christians, welcome in the Middle East? Listen to what Bibi has to say. Roll the tape.
And there are people who believe, to a small degree, in my opinion, that Christians' relationships or the relationships of Christians in Israel aren't as good. And so can you speak to that, Prime Minister, about how Christians live in Israel? Are they accepted in Israel? Are they treated fairly in Israel?
Well, first of all, this is the birthplace of Christianity. You know, in all these sites, people could walk and do walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Christians are not merely tolerated in Israel. They're welcomed as a treasure of our common Judeo-Christian heritage. And Israel is the only place in the Middle East where Christians are safe, because throughout the Middle East, churches are bombed, Christians are killed, as happened in Syria, murdered mercilessly, and elsewhere. And in Israel, we are brothers. If you actually talk to the majority of Christians, talk to them, you'll see what they say. They say, Israel is the only place where we're respected and protected.
And I can attest to that as a Christian who went to Israel. I spent 2 weeks there with the church, and we had an incredible time. We had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors. And immediately after, there was an adult that came by and said, that's not a representation of who we are. You know, we love you guys. You guys are always welcome here. And I have to say, no adults gave us any grief. We had no issues whatsoever in our experience there. It was actually an amazing experience. It actually changed the way I thought about Israel, and I fell in love with Israel when I came there. And I think a lot of that is a testament to how Christians are actually treated, not what the naysayers say.
Well said, and that's Channing Tatum. He's a great guy, or not Channing Tatum, but he is an excellent podcaster. But I will attest to it. I was there in January, and we had 0 incidents. I actually got in the cab with a guy. When we rode downtown to downtown Jerusalem last night, we were there, and got to talking and told him I was a believer. And he looked at me and he said, well, we're so grateful that you're here. And I told you the story. We were in a store and we were buying some souvenirs and different things. And the young lady behind the counter, we went to the counter and paid the money. And she began to weep. And she said, Mister, we cannot tell you thank you enough for your generosity to our nation. And as we were getting ready to get on the plane or meet our tour guide, as we were in the bus going to the airport that night, and he told us all, he said, your generosity has probably kept businesses open here for the next 30 years, some of them. And he said, you just don't know when a Christian group of believers come over here and they show love and they show Jesus and they act kindly. He said, the Jewish people take note of that. And he said, this idea that Christians are hated in Israel is just Baloney. Are you going to have a nut job here or there? Yeah, you're going to have a nut job here or there. We got a lot of nut jobs over here. It's amazing, all these Jew haters and all these Israel haters, they want to point to an extreme person or there in Israel, and then they'll ignore the idiot morons in this country that are rabid anti-Semites that I would say are a lot worse shape than anything you would experience over there. Folks, they're hungry for love right now. That nation is hurting. It's still hurting from October the 7th. And New York's on the front lines because it's the largest city, as Helen told you tonight, of the Jewish population. Outside of Israel, New York City's got the most Jews. But I will tell you that that tiny nation right there sits in the middle of an Islamic hotbed in the Middle East, folks. It's not going away anytime soon. And she's going to wind up being by herself. And I just hope and pray that whatever deal President Trump cuts, that it does not leave Israel out in the cold. And I can't say that it won't right now, because I really don't know exactly what is going to happen this weekend, and we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm listening to you tonight. You got Brandon Tatum. I'm sorry, Clea, you're right. Officer Tatum. And that's it. Stephen, you said, what will Trump do if Iran's leaders reject this deal? Stephen, he's probably going to bomb the you-know-what out of them again. We'll probably resume hostilities. I mean, it'll probably go back to the bombing that we did last night. I understand last night's bombing was the most intense, really, since we've been doing this. And it got the mid-level people's attention to the point they called the White House yesterday or this morning and said, no more, no mas. No mas. And so I don't see him being able to do anything else. And I think Khomeini, this is my opinion about the whole thing. If you want my opinion about what we should do, it should be complete regime change. And I know that we're not into regime changes in the Middle East. It's gotten us in trouble in the past. But in this case, until you get those mullahs out of the way, this is going to keep going on forever. They are part of the Shia wing of Islam, that is the militant wing. They have got this apocalyptic view. They believe in the Mahdi, who is our version in the Christian community of the Antichrist. They believe he's going to come and restore order to the earth, and that he's going to set Islam over the earth, and he will kill every infidel, which is every single one of you that I'm talking to tonight that's not Muslim, whether you're Jew or Christian. They believe this, and they believe it with a passion, and they believe that even if they go up in apocalyptic smoke, they don't even care about a nuclear weapon going off. They could care less. That's why they want that nuke. They don't care if a nuclear weapon goes off in the Middle East, but this is the danger. Israel has got nukes, and Israel is not going to allow that nation to threaten it. And as I said, it's a cauldron of complicated mess. It really is. One that needs our prayers in the worst of ways tonight. And the difference in the Iranian situation and even Iraq to a certain degree, Iraq didn't have the suicide pact that the Iranians do. Iran don't care. Russia and us, if we got into a conventional war with Russia, there's always been this idea of mutual destruction. Russia's smart enough to know you send nukes over here, you won't be on the map either. China, to a degree, feels the same way. That's why a brush up with our countries would be more conventional. The Middle East and that wing of Islam that controls a lot of those countries, as far as they're concerned, if we nuke them, we'd be doing them a favor. Because in their warped thinking, they're going to go to heaven and see 72 virgins. That's what they believe, folks. And they're all in about that. They're all in about that. That's what makes this conflict so spiritual in nature. It's not political. It's not political. It's not geopolitical. Even though there's geopolitical ramifications to it, it's spiritual tonight. It's unlike any enemy we've ever faced. You probably ever will face. Let's see here what we got. 82 to 17. 40 votes now 40 votes. Anything else? I want to play something for you tonight. We're going to talk about this more tomorrow night. I'm going to show you a picture first, and got so much video on a wrap-up tomorrow night. That's Anthony Carmelo. That is the young kid that killed the classmate. And his mother and daddy were on TV today. And I'm going to let you listen to this mother, and I'll get your take on this more tomorrow night. But I've got a few things to say about this. Roll the tape.
My son didn't intend to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself.
It took less than 3 hours for a jury to reject 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony's claims of self-defense in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Prosecutors argued Anthony intentionally killed Metcalf after being taunted and shoved by Metcalf and his teammates at a high school track meet. Take us inside that courtroom. What stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury.
Complete lie. That is a lie. It was not an all-white jury. There were Asians, African Americans, Hispanics. There were 3 whites on that jury. 3. It's not an all-white jury. But that's what they're playing the race card tonight. And the other thing that's blowing me away, Anthony Carmelo is going to appeal this. Well, he's out tweeting, or had somebody post something tonight that said that he's got no money for a defense fund. This family had a GoFundMe page. If he would have pled out at the beginning, he may not even, I don't know what the sentence would have been. May not have been 35 years. But he didn't. They wanted a trial. And the reason they wanted the trial was they could milk every dollar they could get. Folks, do you realize that this family raised $672,000, almost $1 million? They bought a new home. They bought a new car. I don't know how much actually went to the defense side, but that is a heck of a lot of money that a punk kid that knifed another child at school raised in defense of murder. That's apostasy. This is apostasy. I'm going to play this on us, about 10 more seconds of it. The dad just lied there. And the mother just lied. I'm going to play this back. The mother just lied about he didn't intend to do anything. Well, if you bring a knife to school and you stab somebody in the front, I tend to disagree with that. I vehemently disagree with that.
Intend to hurt anyone.
Yes, he did.
My son was defending himself.
No,
it
he
took
wasn't.
less than 3 hours for a jury to reject 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony's claims of self-defense in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Prosecutors argued Anthony intentionally killed Metcalf after being taunted and shoved by Metcalf and his teammates at a high school track meet. Take us inside that courtroom. What stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury. But I was trying to be, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our...
The truth is not on your side, sir. I hate to tell you. He cried at the hearing yesterday when he was found guilty. He's not sorry for the killing. There's no remorse in this family tonight, folks. There's no remorse by him. Those tears are not for the victim. I listened to the Austin's dad tonight, and the supporters that were outside the courtroom was screaming at Austin's parents and basically saying to them, I wish your other son would have got killed too. The supporters of this one. So there's no remorse. But those are not tears of repentance, as Helen beautifully said tonight. That's not tears of repentance right there. That's tears that I'm going to spend the next 35 years of my life behind bars for killing somebody. And according to the justice people, he'll be out in 17, which puts it about 32, 35. He'll be 32, 33, 34 years old when he gets out. Just in time to do more killing. Just in time. He'll have plenty of time to do more killing. The kid should have got life without parole. And there's a little part of me tonight, I'd have given him the chair. I'd have given him the chair. It's cold-blooded murder. The only thing that probably didn't give him the chair was the premeditation part, because usually those cases are when it's premeditated and there's extenuating circumstances to it. It's hard to prove it was premeditated, but I will tell you what, it was first degree. I mean, again, common sense, which is at a premium these days in this country. If you're being bullied and shoved by somebody, you go to a teacher and you tell them that that's happening to you. You don't pull a knife out and stab somebody in the chest several times. Whether he went to school that day with the intention of doing that, I guess that's only between him and God. I'm not trying to sound cold. This family's life is ruined. I feel for the fact their son is no longer going to be with them because he's going to be in prison. But I tell you who I'm more sad for tonight, and it's like Austin's dad said. Austin will never, ever walk in that door of his house again. He said this tonight, verbatim, and give him a hug. He will never be seen again. This kid will be seen in 17 years, and we'll probably be hearing about him if we're still alive then. We'll still be hearing about him. I do not see this appeal going anywhere, but I've been shocked before. Those are not tears of remorse. That picture right there is the state of affairs in our nation and this lawlessness that is raging like a fire. We talked about it spiritually last night, folks. It's part of the doctrines of devils and the spirits that are driving this country down a path of social ruin, of spiritual ruin, of political ruin. Our society has become so violent. And let me remind you tonight as we wrap this up, and I got a lot more to talk about tomorrow night than I do tonight. I got a lot tonight, but it's late, and I'm not going to keep it until midnight tonight. Let me tell you this. When God destroyed this earth the first time by water in that flood, you know what it was about. If you go back to Genesis 6, it was about violence. God saw the violence on this earth, and he couldn't stomach it. And he sent that flood, and he repented that he had even made man. And when Noah came out of that ark, God put a rainbow in the sky. By the way, to the LGBTQ community, that rainbow stands for grace and mercy, not what you've made it. But I'll leave that alone tonight. But he told Noah, he said, I'm not going to do this ever again. The next time I do it, it's going to be by fire. It's going to be by fire. We're living on borrowed time. We're living on God's mercy right now. We're living in a season that God's grace is being extended to the violent, that if they'll repent and come back to him, he can take that hate out of their heart. But this right here, again, I'm not trying to be cold as ice tonight to the Anthony family. I'm very saddened that their son has been, basically his life is done for the next 17 to 18 years. If he gets out on parole, there's no guarantee he will. It's unlikely he'll serve the whole 35, but that's when he's eligible for parole. It should have been a deeper sentence. That's what scares me with our justice system. I wonder if the roles were reversed tonight. I'll just throw this little nugget out. I wonder if it would have been the other boy sitting in that picture, the white boy, and it would have been Anthony Carmela that had gotten knifed in the front. How the media would be reacting tonight. And I wonder if the ladies on The View would be calling him a hero and calling him a martyr. And his mama out there saying, well, he didn't mean to hurt nobody. And people would believe that. No more than we believe it tonight. No, they would. And I would guarantee you that the other kid would have probably gotten life without parole. That's our messed up justice system tonight. I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone. All righty. I'm done. Probably need to quit while I'm ahead tonight. I'll quit while I'm ahead. I'll quit while I'm ahead. 84-16. 84 to 16. And Michelle, you're right. We'd have had riots. No, we'd have had riots. That's exactly right. He was going. We would have had riots, and I'm going to end the poll 50% tonight, 50 votes. 84 to 16 is our final total tonight. And you doggone right, Michelle, we'd have had riots, and it would have been ugly too. And Rosemary, those tears is because he's going to jail. It is not because he's sorry that he took a life. And it's clear about that because he's complaining tonight. He's literally complaining tonight that he has no money for an appeal, and they're about to start a new GoFundMe page to raise more money. They're not sorry. They're not sorry for this other kid's death. They just ain't. They just ain't. And by the way, this was New York last night. I was telling Helen about this. Roll the tape. That was after a victory. What will they do if the Spurs come back and take that series? New York's up 3-1. It's a long shot that they're going to lose the series. What happens? Because Game 7 is going to be in New York. And if San Antonio wins the next two, the deciding game will be back here. And if some fluke thing happens and San Antonio wins, if they did that after winning, what are they going to do if they lose? That's the lawlessness. That's the lawlessness that's gripping this country tonight, folks. Not good. It's not good. It's not good. Wild demonic animals, Rosemary. That's about the size of it. I'll agree. Barry, his parents have failed him, and yes, Betty, it would be way different. And the guilty is treated like the victim. Carol, that's so true, and that's what makes it all sad. And that's where we've become. That's where we have become. And it's not good tonight. It really isn't. Scenic, win, lose, riot. That's about the truth. Did you enjoy Helen Qui tonight? I sure did. We're going to talk about all this more tomorrow night. It's getting late. It's time for me to call it a night. We've been going right at an hour and a half. We've had a good Thursday night. Our first ever interview with Helen was a good one. She spoke truth to you tonight. She's a woman of faith, by the way. She's a minister. And she's running for the District 1 in Manhattan, it's Lower Manhattan. And if you're in the greater New York City area, in that area, please register and make sure that you get behind Helen Qui tonight. She needs you. New York needs her. We need voices like her up there. And may the Lord bless her efforts. And may the Lord bless you tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, put some fire in that house. You Bible students, we'll see you in the morning. We'll see you in the morning. Thank God the computer didn't blip out tonight. We're going to try for it again tomorrow. It blipped out this morning again. But be blessed and have a good night, everybody. Put some fire in that house. And pray for our president, folks. Pray for Israel. Pray for the Middle East. May the Lord bless you all tonight. We love you. And we'll see you back here in the morning in the Bible study and tomorrow night late. God bless. Good night.